You've probably seen headlines and heard talk in the media about the shift in the housing market, and you may be thinking that this is a housing bubble. It's only natural for those thoughts to creep in and cause you to think this may be 2008 all over again. But the good news is there's concrete data that shows why this is nothing like it was 15 years ago. There's still a shortage of homes in the market today, not a surplus. The historical data shows us that there were too many homes available for sale during the housing crisis. Many of those were short sales and foreclosures. That caused prices to fall dramatically. Supply has increased since the start of this year, but there's still a shortage of inventory available, primarily due to almost 15 years of underbuilding new homes. Take a look at this graph. It uses data from the National Association of Realtors to show how the month's supply of homes available now compares to the crash years ago. Today, unsold inventory sits at just a 3.2 month supply at the current sales pace. That's nationally. It's a little bit less in our markets in the Mid-South. There just isn't enough inventory for home prices to come crashing down. However, there are some markets that are overheated and they may experience a decline. You can see in this graph how many homes were available for sale back in the crash in the red bars versus how many homes are available now over the last few quarters. Another factor was mortgage standards. They were much more relaxed back then. During the lead-up years to the housing crisis, it was much easier to get a home loan than it is today. Running up to 2006, banks were creating artificial demand by lowering their lending standards and making it easy for just about anyone with a breath to qualify for a home loan or refinance their current mortgage. Back then, lending institutions were taking on greater risk in the person they were lending money to and the mortgage products that they offered, and that led to mass defaults, foreclosures, and falling prices. Today, things are very different, and purchasers face a much higher standard from mortgage companies in trying to get a loan for a home. If you've done that in the last few years, you know. This graph uses Mortgage Credit Availability Index data from the Mortgage Bankers Association to help us tell the story of what's going on today with lending. In that index, the higher the number, the easier it is to get a mortgage. The lower the number, the harder it is. In this latest report, the index fell by 5.4%, indicating standards are tightening. It's been much more difficult for years. This graph also shows how different things are today compared to the spike in credit availability leading up to the 2008 crash. Tighter lending standards over the last decade and a half have helped prevent a scenario that would lead to a wave of foreclosures like last time. And third, the foreclosure volume is nothing like it was during the crash. Another difference is the number of homeowners that were facing foreclosure after the housing bubble burst. Foreclosure activity has been lower since the crash, largely because buyers today are more qualified and less likely to default on their loans. This graph uses data from Atom Data Solutions to help paint the picture of how different things are this time. You can see that spike of foreclosures years ago versus very few foreclosures now. I have people asking me how easy it is for them to buy a foreclosure home because it was 15, 16 years ago. It's not that easy today. There's just not that many out there. Another reason foreclosures are so low is because owners have more options than they had during the housing crisis. And also, many homeowners today are equity rich. That equity comes in large part from the way that home prices appreciated according to CoreLogic. The total average equity per borrower has now reached almost $300,000. That's the highest that's ever been recorded. Rick Sharga, Executive Vice President for Market Intelligence at Atom Data, explains the impact that this has. Very few of the properties entering for the foreclosure process have reverted to the lender at the end of the foreclosure. We believe that this may be an indication that borrowers are leveraging their equity and selling their homes rather than risking the loss of their equity in a foreclosure auction. This goes to show that many homeowners are in a completely different position this time than they were in 2008. For those facing challenges today, many of them have options to use their equity to sell their house and to avoid the foreclosure process. If you're concerned that we're making the same mistakes and headed into another housing crash, hopefully these graphs alleviate some of your fears because the data and the expert insight clearly show this is nothing like last time. I want to make sure you make a confident home selling decision. If you're thinking about selling your home, if it's crossed your mind at all, but you're just not sure, let's have a conversation for you to get all the facts to make a confident decision on what you need to do concerning your home. Hi, I'm Jeff Jones of eXp Realty. Visit meetjeffnow.com to schedule a conversation for us to talk about your home selling goals so that you can make a confident decision. Or visit ReadyToSellScore.com to discover how ready you are to sell. Have a blessed day.